Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and I'm taking a look at Dell's Inspiron 7000 series lineup, which is going to be hitting the streets in October and being announced around IFA and Gamescom. These are Inspiron laptops used to sort of be known for being cheaper alternatives to XPS laptops. Nowadays, a lot of them have very similar features, and they're thin, they're light, they have relatively small bezels around the display, they have cameras on top, which is not exclusive anymore. The XPS models have that as well. These models, though, come in a couple of different versions. So we've already seen something that looks nearly identical to this. This is a 15-inch Dell Inspiron 7000 series 2-in-1 with a pen garage. It's got a convertible tablet-style design, a detachable pen, or not detachable, pen that hangs out magnetically in there and that you can use for pressure-sensitive input, and it's a kind of premium device selling for about $1,500. The version that was introduced earlier this year had an 8th generation Intel processor. There are two things that are different here. One is that it has a 10th generation Comet Lake processor, and second, it has not just a USB Type-C port, but Thunderbolt 3 support. So otherwise, it's pretty similar. This is the 15-inch model, the Dell 7000 2-in-1 Black Edition. There's also a 13-inch, which we'll see when I walk to the other side of the table. Basically the same design, faster processor, coming in October for about $1,500. The 13-inch version is going to be about $1,400. What we're looking at here is a much more affordable model. It's going to start at around $880, and it is an Inspiron 7000 that does not have the pen garage, does not have the 4K display. Instead, it has a 1080p display, but it's still, wait, is it touch?
Oh no, did I freeze?
Well, the touchscreen might be broken, but it's supposed to have a touchscreen display. Is it convertible as well?
Yes, it is.
It is convertible. And it does have Thunderbolt. Also, it's going to be available with an Intel Comet Lake processor. And we're looking at a demo unit here, which I'll tell you, a few minutes ago the touchscreen was working. This is just sort of what happens when you start doing things live. So this is the 13-inch model. Here we're looking at the 15-inch version, which you want to flip this over to tablet mode just to demonstrate that they are in fact convertibles, and they do in fact have touchscreen displays. Again, this is the 15-inch model, which is actually going to be a little bit cheaper. It's starting at $850, has similar specs, Comet Lake processor, and of course it does have more room thanks to the larger displays, so there's a numeric keypad. Both of them have Thunderbolt 3 ports, HDMI ports, backlit keyboards, and micro SD card slots, USB, and headphone. There's also, for the first time, a 17-inch model. Now, this is not exactly Liliputing material. It's kind of big, it's kind of heavy, but it's got a relatively compact design for a 17-inch laptop, and it also has NVIDIA MX250 graphics standard on this version. It's going to sell for, I think, $1,050 and up. So there's the 17-inch model again, has all the same features as the smaller versions, plus NVIDIA graphics. And no pen support on this version at all. The smaller ones, the 13 and the 15, do support pens. You can use a pressure-sensitive pen using Microsoft Pen Protocol. They're compatible with the pens that come with the Black Editions. They just don't come with a pen. You'd have to either already have one or buy one separately, and there's no pen garage. We already saw this 15-inch model, but then again, here is the 13-inch Black Edition, which is a really pretty slick device that, again, we saw it earlier this year. The new model is pretty much the same externally. The only real differences are that it has Thunderbolt 3 support, and it has Intel Comet Lake processor, 10th generation Intel Core chip, instead of a 8th generation Whiskey Lake processor, which earlier versions had. But it's thin, it's light, it's got a chassis that is this magnesium? This is aluminum chassis. It's got relatively thin bezels. It's got a backlit keyboard, which isn't lighting up right now. There we go, backlit, diamond cut bezel around the side here. So it's really, I think the whole 7000 series is changing sort of the perception of what to expect from an Inspiron. There are still some reasons that you might want to go with the XPS series. They do tend to be a little bit slimmer and lighter. They do have magnesium and carbon fiber chassis. They're overall have a lower profile displays and so forth. So even though we've got fairly thin bezels here, they're a little bit thinner on the XPS, but you do wind up paying a premium for those, although again, with a starting price of $1,400, it's not like this is cheap. But now there are the lower priced options with the $800-ish series that just don't have quite all the same bells and whistles. So this is Brad Linder, and a quick overview of Dell's new Inspiron 7000 series 2-in-1 laptops coming in October, being announced in late August 2019.